Yep. Hopefully everyone can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So let me go ahead and go full screen. So good afternoon. I think a few people joined now. My name is Sri, and for the benefit of the people who are coming a little late, we're happy to share that we have been having this whole the voice of the customer, so to speak, in the sense that each of you partners who are part of this whole Connect Secure ecosystem, you have a voice on the table. You can tell us what are the features that you like, what are the things that you'd like us to get better at. So that's a way. It's been a very collaborative model that we have engaged with our entire partner community from the time the company started about roughly about 3 years back. Having said that, our partner call that we have been running all these several years has been has been only for the US time zone. For the, it was mainly done at the Eastern time and a lot of partners in the US it was convenient, but for partners in Europe and other regions, it was not as convenient. People have been asking us that we should have a call at least once a month to have this kind of an sync up session. This is our effort to do that. It's the first time that we are starting this whole thing for the EU region, and I'm super happy to kick this off today. And the whole idea being uh, on each these sessions we have a model where we start with a little bit of an overview. In the first time since we're doing it, we're going to give a little bit of overview about the company and so on. Subsequently, the focus is going to be more on what are the updates from engineering on the new capabilities of the product, what are the new in the new modules that are coming up, things like that. So we'll go over some of those things, and then also solicit your feedback on what is your thought process, what are the additional things specific to the EU zone. And one of the things we really pride ourselves is unlike a lot of companies which have a very specific outlook for certain markets. In our case, from day one, the company has been such that for almost every market that we operate in, we respect the fact that there are local compliance standards, there are local norms of data governance, and so on. So from the time we started, we have always had, for example, for the EU zone, we have hosting in within EU compliance standards. We support a lot of local compliance standards like Cyber Essentials for the UK market. I think for Swiss market, we support a couple of other standards. We're looking at supporting NIS2 and other standards as they evolve in Europe. So, short answer, we'd love to have this opportunity every month when we speak to really hear from you as to what are things that are important for you in your market for your customers. Tell us, and we are more than happy to put that into a development roadmap. If enough people support that, then we can kind of put sprints behind it and commit to certain timelines on it. So that's the whole purpose of having this calls. For those of you who don't, just to kind of quickly, the agenda is to have an overall introduction of the company itself, a demo of V4, which Shiva and Brushali, my colleagues, are going to help me with that whole session. Um, so some of you who are still sitting on V3 and thinking, is V4 ready for prime time, or is there, feature parity? What is the guidance on the upgrading? So the next set of three or four points that you see here is all about version 4 and how you can make the switch from version 3 that many of you may be using to version 4. So that's a broad agenda. That said, like I said, the company was initially incorporated by Shiva and myself. We are the two partners who started the company. And then subsequently, we also have Peter Bellini, the one of the part of Bellini Capital in Florida, Tampa. He came on board for the journey with us, and we are now the three co-founders of the company. We're based in Tampa in Florida, the engineering site in Bangalore in the south of India. The core team has been working with the MSP community and the small and medium business for over almost 20 years. So the whole idea being that we have built other products in the past for this particular space. So in the sense we are more sensitive to the requirements of that space, the unique challenges that are specific to that market and segment are something that are close to our heart. So that's just kind of set the context there. The company is in a very firm footing. We have over 2,000 MSPs, little over 80,000 end customers, and over 2.2 million assets that we scan every single month. So In that sense, the company is been there for a very short time, like I said, just about 3 years, but we're growing well and very financially on a strong footing there. Um, the In terms of positioning, where do we play? I know many times people ask us, yeah, vulnerability and compliance management is all great, but where do you guys fit in? Especially if you look at the NIST cybersecurity framework. So if you look at this whole identify, protect, detect, respond, recover, we are squarely in the identify pillar, if you will. So I think this is a great spot to be, because when you start doing engagements with customers, um, you know, the first point that is identify is where you would begin this journey. So when you look at cybersecurity products, be it firewalls, EDR, MDR, SOC, NOC, so many things that are there out there, all of them would fall in one of these pillars in the overall framework, right? And I think the sweet spot to be really is in the identify pillar, if you will. And the reason is, my submission to all of you is that if you were to do identify well, you might potentially have to have lesser investments or efforts for some of the other components, because you're going to catch a lot of security issues upfront and hopefully remediate it upfront. So potentially you're hardening your attack surface, you're reducing your overall attack surface, and I think that's the whole value of having a vulnerability and compliance management kind of a go-to-market for your customers. The platform itself is super comprehensive, and this is one of the things that we really are, I think that's one of our key strengths or differentiators in the market. So when you look at the market today, there are various tools, and again, I don't mean any offense. They're all great tools out there. We work with some great competitors in this market. Um, but having said that, many of them, for example, have a very a siloed view or a module-led view. For example, they'll say, "Oh, you want vulnerability management? Fine, buy this product." Or you also want to do active directory assessments? Yeah, you to add on and buy additional $500 a month, you buy that product. You want to do network assessments, you want to do compliance management, and as you want more and more things, you end up paying a lot of additional dollars out there or euros out there for you to have those capabilities in the product. But at Connect Secure, our approach was very, very different. Right from day one, we were very clear that these are the requirements for the market, and we need to fulfill the requirements of an MSP. And what we saw is the first thing that every MSP needs is a way to do asset discovery. Because if you don't know your network, you're not able to manage that, right? So the first step in this journey has to be, how can I discover all the assets in the network, be it routers, switches, firewalls, access points, desktops, laptops, printers, whatever the devices that are there in network. The first step is to discover and know your network, if you really will. And that's where our asset discovery module really kicks in. Once you know your assets, the next logical step there is to see, what is my vulnerabilities in this network, and that's how you can start managing this whole vulnerability that are there today. And given that the last year there were roughly close to about 29,000 CVs that were published in um, by NIST, the NIST. This year we're on track right now, unfortunately, for a much larger number. From what I can see, I'm thinking it's going to be more like 33 or 34,000 CVs that will get published this year. So if you divide that just as an average, not that it's an exact average, but if you take it, it's if you divide that by 365 days of the year, we're looking at approximately around 80, 85, 90 vulnerabilities every single day. So that's a huge number, and unfortunately, that number is not going down. So having to manage vulnerabilities is something that is critical for the protection of the for cyber risk exposure of the customers. So our vulnerability management capability is built right in, and you can scan it. We have different kind of agents. We have agents that can be used for sales assessments, one-off assessment for a new prospect, where it will only scan once, get the data over to the portal, and then it will automatically delete itself, or what we call it a dissolvable agent. We also have what we call a lightweight agent, which can be used in situations where people are working from home, or remote users and so on. So we have a lightweight agent for those scenarios, and we also have what we call a network probe, which is what will installed on any one machine on the network. It will go and scan the entire network, and it will get you all the vulnerabilities on the network that it can see. Um, Again, these agents are available for Windows, Mac, Linux, and we also support the Raspberry Pi, which is an ARM device, very inexpensive, um, especially useful when you have use cases like, say, a remote branch in 10, 15 computers. And you don't want to put a workstation class machine to do the scan. So for those kind of use cases, it's a great way to just send a, like a 30 euro device, buy it, ship it, and you can start monitoring that particular site for vulnerabilities and compliance gaps. We do compliance management. We support more than, I believe, 12 or 13 different standards today, including, NIST 171, NIST 53, CIS 8.0, HIPAA, GDPR. So we have a whole bunch of standards that we support for compliance scans, and that's again another feature that is built in the product. We do PII scans, personally identifiable information. So things like credit cards or phone numbers or email addresses. If people have kept such information, if users have such information that's kept in plain text in without any encryption, for such data, we will discover those and bring it out and let you know that in this particular file or folder we found this PII data. Again, important because if that machine were compromised, then there will be a lot of important data that a potential threat actor can walk away with. So that's the purpose behind the PII scanning feature that we have. We have inbuilt patch management because one is to say that, oh, you discover all these vulnerabilities, but how do you go fix those vulnerabilities? And yeah, you can always use third-party tools, RMM tools, and that's certainly a mechanism that you can do even today. But for certain use cases or some segments where you may not want to make the investment in a separate tool, um, we have patch management built right in. Patch management allows you to, for machines that have the lightweight agent installed, you can automatically patch those machines. There are schedules that you can set saying that these patches can be rolled out at a specific time, and at that time it will automatically download and from our repositories will download the relevant patches and it will help you install those patches there on those machines. So that's the patch management capabilities. We have the attack surface scanning capability where it kind of gives you an outsider's perspective of your network. So for example, if you say whatever is your domain.com of your customer, you put the domain name in and it'll go fetch whatever publicly available information about that from DNS, and let you know what is the uh, like I said, what's an outsider's or a threat actor's initial entry point into your customer's domain. So from that, a lot of details can be revealed. For example, what is the platform? Is it WordPress? Where is the website being hosted? Do they have Office 365 or Google Workplace? Because again, a lot of the DNS fields that are there reveal a lot of this detail, and the subdomains that are there in the company and so on. So it'll get you a lot of, it enumerates all the subdomains that are there, and it kind of gives you an overall view of the potential external attack surface that is visible. So that's something that is built right in. We support Active Directory auditing. So if you want to audit your Active Directory both on-prem or Azure Active Directory, we support both. It will automatically, give you a list of all the OUs, the organizational units, the group policy objects, the users. So a lot of details about Active Directory will get, you can get details of that as reports, and you can use that as hopefully to drive insights into what are the things that you need to fix in Active Directory to stay compliant. That's something that's built right in. Application baseline audit. Again, a great feature, sometimes overlooked, but I personally believe it's a very important feature is the ability to make sure that all the users in the company are using the exact same set of applications as defined by a corporate IS policy. So if the information security policy says, for example, that everybody should only have, say, Google Chrome, chances are in many machines they also will have Firefox, they may have Safari, and so on. Now, the challenge is more the applications, more the vulnerabilities, right? So you absolutely need to have a baseline audit to make sure that this is the whitelist or blacklist of all the applications that are allowed by corporate policy or denied by corporate policy. And based on that, it'll tell you list of all the users who are compliant and the users who are not compliant. So for the users who are not compliant, you can hopefully reach out to them and take corrective action, remedial action to uninstall applications that are not required or install applications that are mandatory, to make sure that everybody is compliant with the basic application guidelines as defined by a corporate information security policy. Then we have inbuilt remediation planning with prioritization. So we support traditionally, like all products in the market, we started with supporting CVSS scoring, so you can prioritize based on that. More recently, having said that, it's been there for a little over a year. We also support EPS scoring. So that allows you to prioritize on what are the vulnerabilities that you need to first remediate. And the reason that's important is that, when you do a typical scan, it can sometimes get very overwhelming, as in there are just so many vulnerabilities that will pop right there. You'll be struggling to see, okay, what are the things I need to focus first on. So that's basically the remediation plan with prioritization will help you right there. And the last point I want to touch upon before I turn over to Vrushali for the or Shiva for the demo is reporting. We have amongst the most flexible reporting capabilities in the market. Everything that we report is in Microsoft Office formats. So you'll see the reports coming up in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or in some cases PDF. Uh, and that's a very useful feature because you can white label some of them. You can have your own logos and things, cover pages and all coming up in the documents. Um, Pretty informative. The Word documents are 8 to 10 pages long, typically, sometimes longer, but for a larger network, but typically that is the kind of size. Likewise, the PowerPoints can be anywhere from 1 to 5 or 6 slides, again, depending on report to report. The Excel reports are typically the more detailed reports that is meant for a technician. So it has all the details, for every vulnerability, every CV, every host, every IP address, what is the vulnerability, what's the CV number, a lot of the details on vulnerabilities, likewise asset details, depending on which report that you're looking at. A lot of details in the Excel report that is primarily meant, like I said, for a technical person's view or a technical person's consumption. So that said, these are the capabilities, like a quick overview. Again, this is the whole purpose of it is for some of you who have perhaps only use part of the tool. Hopefully, this will give a refresher into all the different capabilities of the product, and you could hopefully leverage and get more of the product. And like I said, all of these are built right in the product. You don't pay anything extra for all these features. So, like I said, we don't have a model there, unlike some of our competitors where you end up paying an additional dollar value for some of these additional features. In our cases, an all-in-one product, fully integrated. So. Uh, Please leverage all the features and try to get the most by securing your customers. That's my submission to all of you. I'm going to keep quiet over to Vrushali for the demo and the subsequent discussion on Vrushali or Shiva. I'm not sure who's going to be doing that part, but yeah, over to you. Thank you. If you have any questions, happy to answer that. I'm sorry I didn't mention that upfront. That any questions, please keep it going on chat, and as and we look at it, we'll certainly go over that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that, sir. Very good afternoon, everyone. Without taking much time of yours, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'll take you through a quick demonstration of the tool here. I think Shrikant sir covered pretty much everything that tool supports. So here, I hope you're able to see my screen.
Yeah,
Yes,
go for it,
we
Vrushali.
Thank you. So, starting with the first ability, it's a multi-tenant platform, right? So you are able to, as a MSP, you should be able to manage multiple companies, and all the information around that particular company regarding Connect Secure should be managed through one single login here. So it becomes very easy to look at the information and manage the information right from single console. So I'll just quickly go through one of the company, and I'll take you through the other abilities. So starting with agents, as mentioned earlier, so we have two types of agents. One is a lightweight agent and another one is a probe agent. So by default, every agent we install is lightweight agent. So if I go for installation here, you see that it is supported for multiple platforms like typically Windows, Mac, Linux. We also have an agent for ARM build, which is a Raspberry Pi. And even in Windows, we have different abilities. You know, the way you install the agent, like an executable MSI installer, you have a web installer, and it's pretty simple. Like if you see the PowerShell script here, just copy to clipboard and run it under a Windows asset under PowerShell as an admin, and you're done. It's less than a minute, very quick installation. And once the agent is installed, reported back in here, then further actions can be done from the portal here. So lightweight typically has an ability to scan a single asset, right? So for an example, work from home users or users which are not connected to your office network very often, those can be used to scan using lightweight agents. Another type of agent is a probe agent. The installation remains simple and same. Probe typically has an ability to discover the agent. Now, which discover the network. Now, which network is here? You need to define the network values for it. So if I go into this discovery section here, you have an ability to add discovery settings. So this lets you add multiple, whether you need to add a static IP, you need to add a CIDR or a IP range, you should be able to add it from the discovery settings here. And then you have an ability to, see. So if you look at the discovery setting here, it's a /24 network, which we are able to scan using this particular agent. So you can have multiple additions of the addresses done here in this particular portion. And once you add the credential section, so even under credentials, you have an ability to add credentials for different operating systems like Windows, Mac, Linux, VMware, SNMP for your network devices, and the firewall OS. Firewall, I'll come with it. So once you add the credentials, the agent is able to do authenticated scans. So you get much more information using the authenticated scans, which are supported by the probe agent here. So if I go into the firewall section here, this typically we have an additional firewall integration supported for the vendors which are listed here, like Traytech, FortiGate, we have MikroTik, pfSense, SonicWall, Sophos, WatchGuard. So with this integration, you get a little bit deep down information of the firewall configurations, and we'll quickly showcase. So these information, like, what are the rules of the firewall, users on the firewall, what are the interfaces, zones, licenses on the firewall, and definitely the problems which are found on that particular firewall. So this kind of information gets really captured using the firewall integration. Um, Definitely, the scans can be done in time. Anytime you would like to do a scan, you can initiate it from here. Here, there is a scheduler option. So you can go to the scheduler and you should be able to uh, add one scheduler for the scan. So the scan types, whichever are supported by Connect Secure, are all available under the scheduler here. So typically, we suggest that using a probe, you have the scan time, the full scan suggested there. So you can schedule that. Now, this is about the agents. Now, once all your agents are set up and the scans are in place, under all assets section here, you should be able to see the inventory here. So asset inventory is popped up here. So you should be able to even use this view is very good to have a quick summary of, how the asset looks like. So here it gives you the risk score of the asset, what's the security grade looking like, the number of vulnerabilities, categories of vulnerabilities like critical, high, medium, low, right? So all that information is quickly seen under the table here. And there is also a deep down view of every asset. So whatever information is captured for that asset, you should be able to see a deep down view which contains information like system info, storage, network, BIOS, what's the firewall policy on it, if there are any certificates, what are the certificates looking like, right? So all that info, even the certificate expiry date, whether it is expiring in 30 days, all that information is captured in the asset info. Now, moving forward, definitely the asset will showcase what are the problems and what are the solutions which are available for that particular asset. But I'll come to these two sections in deeper in the company level view. Then it also looks at, ports which have been there, seen internally, externally, applications which are installed on that particular asset, right? So a lot more information in terms of the asset inventory. So services, user shares. Now, typically, apart from finding out the vulnerabilities and the gaps, we also have something called as a security report card and compliance report card. So this section typically highlights issues like, whether the antivirus is installed, is it up to date? How is the local firewall looking like on that particular asset? Whether the OS is into the supported parameters, like you could see the active support until this time, then the security support is up to this particular date. So the accordingly, the grading of that particular asset gets changed for the security report card here, right? And if I go next to the compliance report card, things like say PowerShell 2.0 is still enabled on that particular asset. So that's a big no, right? So here you get immediately you will see risk score getting down, the grading getting down to 1, which needs to be improved, right? And even in this particular evidence section for any of these parameter like LLMNR, we are also giving the expected value here. So what the current value, what we found on that asset and the expected value on that asset. So even the evidence will let you know, what actions are required. So you can quickly have a look at those line items there. Apart from that, unquoted service paths, what are the drivers which are installed on that particular asset, patches which are installed on the asset, processes which are running under it, right? So all this information at the asset level gets captured with the scan here. Now, if I go to the problem section, overall, I wanted to demonstrate this section because this talks about this particular company which has been selected and the assets, all the assets under that particular company. So here it lists down all the problems. It will list down which are the assets which are affected. So if I click in here, I get a quick information about that particular asset which we're talking about. And then it looks at, what is the vulnerability scoring looking like. So the base score, CS score, exploitability, impact score, what is it about, the description about that particular problem, right? So all those will be captured under the problem section here, right? And also there is EPSS scoring, that is exploitation probability scoring system. So here you will have the EPSS scoring in the solution that helps you do the categorization of the problems and handle it effectively. Now, here it also talks about the software which has been affected with the particular CV. So problem view will give you overall view of the problems which are present in a particular company, or even at the asset level if you would like to look at the asset level detailing. Going forward to solutions. So solutions is a compact view to tell you about your what should be your next plan of action, right? So this remediation plan tells you, okay, if you go to the line number here, so it talks about the product, which OS it is about, what is the action which is required, and then definitely what is the fix which is available for that particular item, total number of vulnerabilities which are seen on that particular product, critical, high, medium, low categorization have been done, and then the asset number. If I click in here, I get the asset details as well. Now, if you look at the list, once at the company level, the list is going to be big. Even right now, I have 124 items. It becomes difficult to prioritize. So for that, we have something called as EPSS categorization, that is exploitation probability scoring system here. So that typically lets you, prioritize or bucketize your work items here. So if you see the first line item, anything above 95%, you should remediate within 3 days. Connect Secure suggests that please remediate within 3 days because it has a 95% probability of exploitation. So I can immediately filter out the views and I can look at those items first. Definitely there are Excel, Word records, reports are available. Even there, the EPSS scoring is available. So you could filter the reports using that and you could bucketize your action plan. Now, going forward here, this particular window, it has an ability even to do an integration. So integration is when you have number of line items more, it becomes very difficult to handle the remediation plan. So we have built-in integrations with certain PSA tools like ConnectWise. Sorry. Okay, so we have built-in integration supported for, say, ConnectWise, Synchro, Autotask. There are multiple PSAs which are supported, using which you could create a ticket, right? So these tickets can be created manually. If you see the ticket ID here, we can create a ticket manually right from the portal here, or you can also set up the automated flow. So the tickets gets created automatically for the conditions which you choose, right? So even that is possible. So you know that you need to segregate certain item and the security team can take care of the remediation part of it. Now, going ahead somewhere down the line, after some time, you need to see the velocity of remediation. So here you get a quick look at the remediation velocity, which tells you, okay, between 0 to 7 days, do you still have anything pending, right? Between 8 to 15, 16 to 30, and greater than 30 days window, right? So it tells you like how long the remediation has been pending, and anything which gets remediated by any means, even that gets added up here in the remediated records. So you have an auditability checking, what is pending, what has been remediated. So that information is available right in the portal. You also have an ability to suppress a record here. So the suppression has a full flow approval process here, right? So if you see here the approval process, you can use the approval process if you're following that for a particular company. You have an ability to be approved by the internal user, the user which is there on the Connect Secure portal, or any external user who is not part of the Connect Secure portal. So you can suppress particular line item permanently, or you can define an end date after which that item will come back to your pending list. So this is about the solution and the remediations. Uh, the tool also gives you a very good views across. So for an example, you would like to look a quick view of what are the pending operating system patches, right? So here under this particular company, you can have a look at that. What are the ports which require attention? So here it will show you the ports which have been categorized under, like different functionalities like FTP, IMAP, LDAP. So you will be able to, if you click here, you will get the further drill down information about it. Similarly, if you're looking at CIS certificates across all the assets, so here is a quick view available for you, whether talking about different assets and the certificates on those assets. Here it will tell you whether the certificate is self-signed, is it expired, it is expiring in next 30 days, right? It's using a public key bits, exactly, right? So, etc. All that information is available in the certificate window here. So different views are also created, which will help you gather data at a good level. Now, going forward here, this was about the internal scanning. So you need to install an agent, you do the scan on the internal network, right? Now, the externally also, Connect Secure also supports external scan. So when I say external scan, you can add an external scan for a static IP, a IP range, or a domain. So these scans typically are coming from the outside world to check how the entry points secure for that particular infrastructure which you're trying to scan. So these are not related to the agents which are deployed in your network. These will come from the Connect Secure region, right? The cloud region. So from there, this has been initiated. So you can add any IP range, or you can add a static IP, or you can add a domain name here. There are different profiles which have been defined. You can also, as a user, can define a particular profile. If you want to look at, so I'll take you to profile section here. So you can have a quick profile used for top 1,000 ports, which are defined by IANA, 3,500 ports, or you want to go for all 65, 535 ports, you can select one of these default profiles. If you wish to create your own profile, you have an ability to create your own profile. So for an example, so you have a custom list of say 20 ports. So you can just add up the ports here, define the profile, and only those ports will be scanned using the profile which you select. Looking at the results of the external scan, so quickly here again becomes a summary for you, like a quick asset table. So these are the assets which are scanned, gives you a risk score, gives you a security grade, it gives you a view at the vulnerabilities, the categorization of those vulnerabilities, EPSS, if it is greater than 95, which are the vulnerability, how many vulnerabilities are there with EPSS greater than 95, when was that asset last scanned, when was it first discovered. So all those detailing you will follow into a summary table here. If I get into any of these, I should be able to see the details about that particular asset. So here I have a risk score which is defined as T. This particular IP, this particular domain has been scanned. We have done a quick scan for top 1,000 ports here. And then it will show you the result, like critical, high, medium, low. What are the number of vulnerabilities which have been seen in under those categories? Certificates, if there are any SSL certificates, it will check and it will let you know about the certificate status, whether it is expired, expiring in 30 days, validation date. So all those have been captured under certificates. Then it talks about TLS version. So here, whatever TLS version it has, the port associated, talks about the ciphers, the grading of the ciphers here. So I'm sorry. Going back, the checks for basic SSL attacks like drown, poodle, heartbleed. So you should be able to see the SSL attack status there. And then definitely comes to the remediation plan, talks about, what are the remediations that are required on that particular asset. So here simply it says, okay, run a remediation script. So here the scripts are also available. It's not only that it will tell you to run a script, but here if I click here, I'll see that the scripts are available for Windows and Linux. So you should be able to copy this particular script and run on those particular assets. So this will be able to help you, get the details of how the remediation has to be performed. And even this particular view will let you know about critical, high, medium, low vulnerabilities. And even the evidence column here lets you know about the what is that particular evidence that we are talking about, right? So here it is talking about HTTP headers. So is it confirmed? So that kind of detailing is also available in the portal result here. So external scan also has additional information like what are the open ports, what are the filter ports. So port, whichever product is running on that particular port, vulnerabilities associated with that. Is the port secure or a non-secure port, right? And then the problems, definitely, if I get to the all vulnerabilities view, this will list out all the problems which have been found on that particular asset. So these vulnerabilities actually we have categorized under different categories here, like critical, high, medium, low, SMB, SSL, services, web server information, right? Remote login, CISA notified vulnerabilities. So you could even select different categories here and see only the data pertaining to those particular categories here. So this is about external scan. Going forward, on the similar lines, we have attack surface mapper. So attack surface mapper is nothing but it checks the attack surface vectors and how secure it is. And it also gives you an information about certain attack surface vectors. So if you go quickly have a look at the results here. See this one. So attack surface vector helps you look at different parameters like say vulnerabilities, open ports, whether the target IP is used. So I see that IP used here is in this particular region. Emails, usernames, subdomains attached to that particular domain which we are scanning. Right. It also checks your DNS records, your raw headers, gives you the listing of all the subdomains which have been there. So and the MX record also. So subdomains typically the reporting here gives you an overview of the attack surface mapping, which lets you take the further actions on it. So just a classic example here. So for an example, you have certain subdomains listed in here. So you look at the list and immediately you could get caught up and say, okay, this particular subdomain has not been active recently. It was active some time back, but not been active recently. So that becomes something to be looked at. Right. So that way the attack surface mapper also should help you, take care of certain security aspects there. Now, this is about vulnerabilities and then different views of vulnerabilities. So, for an example, say this you are looking at only a single company. If you would like to have an information check at the global level, that is across all the customers that you're handling through Connect Secure, even those views will be very helpful. Say you want to look at vulnerability by operating system, you want to look at network scan findings. So these are network vulnerabilities. Typically, we have categorized them separately because every network is different to be treated with, right? So the user or the MSP get a benefit of handling it differently. So you should be able to look at network scan findings here. Similarly, if you want to look at only the application vulnerabilities, then even those views have been created, and you can have look at these information either at a global level or even at a company level. So you can check your security portfolio depending on what information you are looking at. Similarly, if I go forward to compliance, so Connect Secure also has an ability to do compliance checks for certain standards like CIS, PCI DSS, HIPAA, NIST 853, right? NIST CSF 2.0, GDPR, ISO 27002. So here we have every compliance. You should be able to see the automatic compliance and the manual compliance option here. So automatic checks is something. So for an example, if I look at the automatic non-compliant, here I should be able to see what is non-compliant, right? So the details about those particular compliance ID, the sections, assets which are affected with it. So if I click on that asset, even the asset listing has been shown under the portal here. Now, if I go back, so for an example, say I go to manual non-compliant. So manual compliant non-compliant items, the users have been given an ability to add evidence and mark it as whether that particular control can be marked as compliant or not applicable. So here I can select, I can say upload evidence, and here user can take action depending on what that particular control is about, right? And then you have to provide the evidences definitely here, give a justification about it, provide the files in the evidence, and all this gets recorded under Connect Secure here. So user have an ability to look at that. Also, all these compliances. So for an example, say CIS follows IG1, IG2, IG3 grouping here. So if you would like to see the maturity levels as per the grouping, you have the filters available to see only those filtering maturity levels here. Right. So likewise, the platform supports looking at compliance for Windows, Mac, Linux, right? So you will be able to see all the platforms are supported here. And last but not the least, in the compliance section here is for CIs. Typically, Connect Secure also helps you with certain scripts, right? Based on the data which has been populated on the scan result, it will populate your scripts which you could push through group policy, and you should be able to turn the almost the 60% of the compliance controls from CIS. You can turn it into compliant using the group policies here. So definitely you can use that as a compliance remediation part which is available. Similar lines, we have different compliance assessments right available in the portal for you. So for an example, say HIPAA, PCI DSS, we have NIST 171, GDPR, NIST CSF 2.0, which is a recent addition, CMMC, right? So those assessment you could get done from the platform here, and then you could add the evidences. So once you complete the assessment, the assessment completion happens along with the evidence, and you should be able to download the whole assessment result over there. And one more thing is Connect Secure also provides you with the check master here. So whatever compliance checks Connect Secure supports, those are all available under the check master here. So you should be able to have a look at that. It has a compliance ID associated with definitely. So you could have a look at the compliance check master. The platform also supports Active Directory auditing, as we said. So here you should be able to see, by if you do the Active Directory scanning here, you should be able to see the data, like what are the users, computers, groups, GPOs, which have been found on the, this is the local Active Directory. So for an example, say if I go to users, so in users, I should be able to see data, something like, okay, is the account disabled, enabled? It's a quick view, right? So quick access of the information is available, and these scans can happen every day, right? So you can set up the scan whenever you want to see this information. And password never expires. How is the password expiry set for those users? So these are the quick items which can give you a good information access. This is about the local directory. Similarly, platform also supports Microsoft Entra ID integration, so which is Azure CSP, non-CSP integration. So here it captures about users, computers, groups, license. It talks about basic tenant information, which it has found for that particular tenant. Then definitely the same integration allows you to look at users. Say if I go to computers for an example, so is it managed by Intune or no? Users, is the user MFA enabled or no, right? So all that information you can have a quick look at it, even the license, right? So licenses, what is the SKU you're using, like a premium license, it's a business premium. So those detailing of that particular Microsoft Entra ID, you should be able to see. And with the same integration, it will help you with the secure score summary. It also helps you with enabled services, six comparative scores, and definitely the recommendations based on the environment which you're scanning. It will also give you the recommendations available for that a particular environment, right? And these, all this information across Entra ID and the secure score is also available as separate reports. So if you want to pull out the report and share the information, you can definitely do that. One more ability is personally identifiable information scan. Very simple and easy. So here you have these scan types which are available, which lets you, so for an example, say you would like to check for email addresses on those. It's a file level scan, IP address, OAuth, MAC address. You can select what type of data you're looking for. So these are default file extensions which are supported for scanning. If you would like to say go for say CSV or a JSON additionally, you can select it. And then definitely the agents, you can select whichever agents you're going to use and the location. So location, for an example, say I will add a C drive. Likewise, I can add even a folder here, right? So even folders can be added. And then if any exclude, particularly any location has to be excluded, can be added in here. So this is about the PII scan, and the result of the PII scan will look something like this. So I have the ready results available here. So for an example, it's looking for DOB here. So it will tell you the file path. It will tell you what are the line numbers which are available. And then according to your IS policy, you can see the PII scan and handle the PII scan data, which has been found over there. Last but not the least, I'll quickly wrap up. It's about the reports. The reports, we have exhaustive reporting here. So if you see that the reports are available into Microsoft Office editable format like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and the PDF definitely are the presentable formats. So you have reports along with the Active Directory, vulnerability, assessment, external scan, as I said, Microsoft Entra ID, asset reports, right? Compliance reports. So all these reports you should be able to have a look at. You can schedule the reports as per your convenience. And also these reports, you have white labeling ability, right? So the white labeling is available in the portal. You can also use your custom cover page to send out these reports. Apart from these ready report templates, we also have an ability to create your own templates, right? So we call that as a report builder. So here you have an ability and ready blocks available. So for an example, say you're looking at Active Directory, you're looking at AD logging failure. Likewise, you have a lot of information under the blocks here. So for an example, say cyber essential, compliant, non-compliant. So you should be able to pull in the data, what you're looking for, build your own template, and this template can be used for reporting purposes. And last but not the least is the dashboard. So definitely dashboards around global. You as a MSP can have a look at all the information across all the companies. So how many companies, how many active assets. And if I would like to look at only a particular company dashboard, then even those company level, you have a lot of other dashboards like Microsoft Azure AD, critical vulnerabilities, compliance. So you could refer to these dashboards as well. So a data is available in the summary format as well using the dashboard and the metrics. Metrics definitely is one of the very important screens. So at a company level, you have the risk scores available across multiple functionalities like the Active Directory, PII, external scan. Then you have compliance scores, right? Vulnerabilities, external scan vulnerabilities separately. So these metrics are available across the companies and also at a single company level. So that's it from my end. Any questions you have in the demo to be covered, I'm happy to take care of it. Right. So any questions anyone has? Oh, sorry, Naresh. Yeah, over to you, Barsha.
Uh, Thanks, Roshali. All right, so I'll cover the migration part from V3 to V4. Uh, just before that, I'll add on two important areas related to process that we have today in V4 platform. Firstly, ease of onboarding. We have these weekly onboarding calls that anybody can be part of, especially new partners. So you just need to go to connectsecure.com or slash onboarding and register for these calls. In addition, we also have the onboarding guide that are published for you to get onboarded into the product. We also conduct weekly partner calls. This is mostly by a C-suite leadership who comes up with the major updates and the product roadmap, what is coming next. So all of those is discussed in these weekly partner calls. And the support process for V4 is also very robust. We have cooked triaging of V4 issues, faster assessment, and prioritization of new features. Um, the support process, Rishali will take that in detail in some time. I will quickly move to the replication process. So how to initiate a replication from V3 to V4? This is quite simple. And as you can see in the screenshot, it is to be initiated from the V3 portal that you'll have. And this area, this highlighted button, allows you to replicate all your companies from V3 to V4. In addition to this, you could also initiate replication from the agent section under global actions, start replication. Similarly, for the lightweight agents, you can also initiate the replication from the global actions. So now once the replication has been initiated, the replication status needs to be verified from the V4 portal. For that, we have also kept easy navigation from V3 itself. So as you browse the V3 URL, you have an option here that says login to Connect Secure V4. Clicking on this button will take you to V4 portal. And with that, once you log into V4, there is a replication status option in the profile section on the top right of V4 that tells you that how many companies have been replicated, what are the offline agents, pending agents, all of those information is given here. So this is overall how the replication is done. It's very easy, quick, and it's on click of a button. Um, in addition to this, we have published documentation for V3 to V4 replication, all of that I said right now. It also has the onboarding guide to V3. Alternatively, you can attend the weekly onboarding calls, write to us by emailing to support@connectsecure.com. We can take up your issues if you're stuck anywhere in the migration. Also, we can help you to uninstall the V3 agents and upgrade to V4 agents. We also have a V3 onboarding offboarding guide available. So that was all related to migration. Any questions so far? All right. So I think the common question that comes to everyone's mind when I talk of migration from V3 to V4 is that do we have everything in V4 that was in V3? Yes, we do. We are there to an extent of almost 95%. When it comes to functionality and feature parity, we have everything in V4 that was there in V3, other than some minor UI updates which are yet to be done in V4. And whether it is reports, assessment, dashboard, firewall integrations, all of it is there. Additionally, we have a new portal, that's the MSSP portal. It's a separate portal for our managed security service providers, wherein you can manage your MSP security requirement from one console. That's a totally separate URL, and it's currently in the beta phase. So anybody who is looking to try this out or test this portal out, please write to us at support at connectsecure.com, and we shall enable you for this portal. Other than that, we have added compliance assessment. We have NIST, CSF, DORA, firewall integrations. Couple of them are new in V4. Same with RMM integrations. These integrations were not part of V3. These are all additional in V4. And lastly, for the reports, we have also introduced custom cover page options for standard reports as well as for custom reports. So with that, I um, finish the enhancements and the parity section. Uh, any questions? If not, then probably Rishali, you can take it again over from here for the detailed support process.
Thank you, Varsha. So, as I see, the partners are already aware of the support, how to reach out the support channels, but I'll just, take you through details here. So, the channels to contact support, you can email directly to support@connectsecure.com. And that will automatically create a ticket with us under Fresh Test ticketing system. You can definitely log in and submit a ticket at your own convenience. There is a chat also available for the limited time period. We are expanding the times for chat now, which is if you go to the URL cybercns.freshtest.com, you will see a chat support available, or even on the Connect Secure website, you have a chat support available. Once the ticket is raised, there is an acknowledgement which has been sent by the fresh test. Then the triaging of the issue happens. So when I say triaging, that means we will categorize the ticket under certain categories, like whether it's a technical problem, whether it's a billing question, or it's a feature request. Based on that, we will categorize and assign the tickets to different groups. Prioritization can also happen. So depending on the urgency of the matter or urgency of the issue, the ticket will be prioritized. If you have anything which needs to be urgently handled, you as a partner also have an ability to set the priority to urgent, high, medium, or low, or by default, it comes in as a low priority. Then the ticket is assigned to the appropriate teams and the agents to take care of it. Barsha, can we move to the next slide since you're handling the PPT? Thank you. Then the investigation and the resolution of the issue. So definitely the analysis on the ticket or the issue happens. The team will provide you with certain necessary information. They will mostly provide you with the documentation link at the level 1. Then they will help you with certain troubleshooting step at level 2. If they require any additional information from your side, they will request you for additional information so that issue can be typically understood better and can have a better resolution in there. And then if required, they will request you to schedule a call to look into the environment and then, get the issue to the resolution here. Anytime the ticket gets resolved, there is an automatic survey links that comes. I will request all of you here to please help us with the survey link, giving your feedback on that. So we should be able to improve our support processes better. Anybody has any questions around support on any escalation or any feedback on the product, please feel free to write to my email ID, that is brushali@connectsecure.com, and we'll be happy to help you in there. That's it. Thank you. Thank you from my side.
All right. So if there is no further questions, we will keep in touch. We will communicate in advance when is the next session, that we're going to have, and along with a sample agenda, so that anyone has any questions, they can come prepared. So we'll try to do it on a more organized kind of a manner going forward. So that said, if there's anything on the technical side, you know where to reach us. That is support@connectsecure.com. If you have to reach any of us, it's typically first name at connectsecure.com. So happy to engage, and like I said, today is just a first call, really kicking things off for EU. We'd love to interact more, love to be part of local events, and have user groups and other meetings as we kind of develop this and go forward. So I want to kind of quickly take this moment to thank. I know it's been a small team which joined the call. The US calls typically are over 200 people that usually typically end up being on those calls. Where hopefully we'll have better attendance as we go along. We'll have more quality content also that we'll have besides, like we just started with the product demo today because this is the first time that we are having this kind of a motion with everybody in the EU zone. So what we will hopefully do is have more engaging content as we go along. And really want to thank everyone of you for taking the time to be in this call, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you. Bye.